What's up guys, welcome to today's video. Thank you so much for stopping by. If this is your first time seeing our channel, we're a family of 3 from New Zealand and we have been traveling the world full time for the last 8 months on a pretty tight-ish budget. If you want to know more about the ins and outs of our specific budget, I'll link a video for you so you can go ahead and watch that. However, I thought, especially with the way of the world right now, everyone's tight on money, but the urge to travel is still there. I thought we'd share with you our tips that we've been using on traveling as budget friendly as we possibly can so that we can see more and travel longer without breaking the bank. So let's just get straight into it. Okay, our first tip is actually before you even leave on your travels. So what you can do is, I think you call it credit card hacking, which essentially is you can use a credit card to make things cheaper along your way in terms of like kind of building up points. So for example, we have a credit card that we use from Flight Centre. We got it in New Zealand, and for every, I believe every $103 you spend, you get $1 back, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it really adds up. So the way that we did that was 12 months prior to this big trip, we got the credit card and we put everything on it, i.e. we put our groceries on it, our petrol on it, our power on it, any like larger payments that we had went straight onto the credit card, and then we would pay the credit card off immediately, almost treating it as if it was a debit card. So we never let the amount on the credit card grow. We'd always pay it off as soon as we made the purchase, but we just let the points kind of build up and build up and build up over that year before we left for our travel. Because we did that, we were able to pay for one of our larger flights in between Canada and America completely free of charge through our credit card points that we had accumulated. And we have continued to use the credit card completely on our travels, same way as we used it prior to leaving. Make a payment, pay it off immediately, never let it kind of sit. We're not trying to get any debt while we're on this trip. We're only using money that we have, and we've been accumulating still again, which meant that our trip home was largely subsidized, which if you are from New Zealand, you know how expensive it is to get to and from New Zealand. So that has saved us a really large amount of money. So I'd highly suggest have a look into a few different credit cards and see what the best options are. I know that like the American Express ones tend to be the best in terms of like reward for when you spend, but I can't remember the exact reasons we didn't go with American Express. You can do your own research and kind of figure it out. But I'd say that is one way that you can make your trip a little bit more budget friendly, is to reap the rewards of using credit cards. Next is to decide what kind of travel you are doing. Are you going overseas and you're just going all out? This is like a once in a lifetime trip. Or are you like us and you're wanting to go for a longer amount of time, and so you're willing to kind of play around and stick within a budget and do more of a backpacking trip? Really see where you fall within that. Don't kind of trick yourself into thinking that you can do backpacking when what you really want is that all-in experience, and vice versa. You don't have to, you know, spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in each place. You can be really, really smart about it. You just need to understand your own mindset on what you want out of your travels. Next step is to pack light, which obviously the lighter you pack, the easier things are. It's easier to wheel around a suitcase or carry around a backpack. If you can get away with carry-on somehow, like props to you. I don't know how you would, but like honestly, you do you if you can do that. However, the other thing I'd suggest is pack light, but pack affordable. Now the reason I say that is because I had this kind of mindset before traveling that traveling's like a fashion show. You see it on Instagram, like people in all these amazing places that you're going to go and they're dressed to like so nicely and they've got all their accessories on and their nice shoes, their hair's done, their makeup's done, and traveling just isn't like that. That's just not, it's not reality. It's not, I'm so sorry to break it to you. It really isn't like that at all. The likelihood is that you'll end up wearing maybe 50% of your suitcase, and it'll generally be basic stuff that can just kind of mismatch together. Now the reason I say pack affordably is because if you're traveling long term like we are, I mean we're traveling for, it'll be 11 months in total, and I'm wearing the same 50% of the clothes all of the time. I'm really like running through them. By the time I get home, I'm going to be so sick of these clothes that I'm just going to want to donate them. If they were expensive clothes and I started to get sick of them, I'd have that feeling of like, well damn, I paid so much money for these clothes, I need to keep them even though I don't really want to wear them anymore. Other point would be, if you're traveling and you're more of a backpacker travel person, you're traveling more backpacking, and you pack something, say, that needs to be a hand washed properly, or it needs a certain kind of washing done, like a cashmere jumper or something like that, you're not always going to have access to the best machinery to be able to do your washing. Sometimes it's a sink in a hostel, do you know what I mean? So if you're bringing along expensive stuff and you're needing to wash it, it can just make things more complicated. And then obviously, like what happened to us recently, the airline loses your luggage and you've got a bunch of expensive stuff in there. Like, ugh, that would hurt so much more than if you just had a bunch of like cheaper stuff that you didn't mind if you had to replace the whole thing. The only items I'd suggest that you should bring that are actually a bit more expensive and are worth the money is a solid jacket, like a really good waterproof jacket, and a solid pair of shoes, but that's it. All right, next thing is to split your money into allocated accounts. So what we did, instead of just having our money all in one big account and kind of trying to keep track of it, is we split our money into weekly spend, activities, travel, accommodation, special occasions. So if we were to look at a flight, we would know that it would come out of our travel account. Or if we wanted to go do something like the Colosseum, that would come out of our activity account. And the reason we did that is because we wanted to be really clear on what our weekly budget was each week that we could spend without worrying about spending. So for us, for example, our weekly budget every week, and it's been perfectly fine in every country we've been to, is 400 New Zealand dollars, and that covers groceries, maybe a meal out, coffees, that kind of thing. But if we were trying to book like activities out of that or a plane ticket, it would just get a little bit mumble jumble, and it just makes it so much easier to be in control of your money when it's coming out of split accounts. And the last thing to do before you even leave home is to go through your subscriptions. I didn't think about that until just before we left. If you've got Netflix, you've got Disney, you've got Hulu, you've got Prime, you've got Spotify, you've got all these different subscriptions, have a real think about what you actually need. It might not feel like a lot each month if they come out individually, but over a longer period of time, you're going to be spending so much money on subscriptions that you could be spending elsewhere on your trip. So go through, see what you really need. For us, we kept Spotify and we kept Netflix. That's it. Everything else was cut. We didn't need anything else other than that. So go through your subscriptions. There might be things that you don't even know that you're paying for, so it could save you money anyway. So go through your subscriptions before you leave them. All right, so you're on the road, and our next tip is to travel slowly, especially if you're wanting to travel for a long time. The reality is you cannot go bounce, 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 bounce. It's just not going to work. You're going to run through your money so much faster. So we found that in each country, we would pick maybe 2 or 3 places that we really wanted to go to, and we prioritized those places. We'd spend maybe about a month in each country and kind of split our time between 2 or 3 different places. The reason this saves you money is for a few reasons. You can save on flights. If you're spending longer in different places, you can be more time rich than money rich. So you could do things like, it's not the most comfortable, but if you were to catch a bus from A to B instead of flying, you're probably saving yourself hundreds because you've got the time to do that. And also places like Airbnb, if you were to book for a longer period of time, you do get a discount per night. So something to keep in mind. Speaking of places like Airbnb, you take advantage of rewards. So Booking.com and Expedia are great for this. So the more that you book through their websites, the more discount, or like the levels, you hop up levels, especially Booking.com. Like for example, we've gotten to a level where we get 20% off our bookings now, so we tried to look through Booking.com first. Expedia is the same. You can earn points and kind of help diffuse some of the payments as you move across. One of the biggest things that we've done in terms of saving money along our trips is actually using the site Trusted House Sitters. We have used that so many times now. We've saved roughly 10,000 New Zealand dollars on accommodation. So if you haven't looked yet into the site Trusted House Sitters, I'd highly suggest it. It's extremely worth it. Like I said, 10 grand New Zealand dollars saved so far compared to 250 New Zealand dollars that it took to sign up. If you want, I'm more than happy to make like a full in-depth video of how Trusted House Sitters actually works. It's extremely simple. Like it's almost like you're matching with a homeowner. Usually it's a video call, like a WhatsApp call, just to kind of discuss the ins and outs of the sit. You come, you meet them, they leave you in their home with their pet. You get free accommodation, they get peace of mind knowing that someone is in their home, keeping their pets safe. It's a win-win, and it's going to save you a ton of money. In each country that you visit, have a think about, is this country more expensive? Is this country cheaper? Is this country more expensive within certain seasons? And if that is the case, especially for us with Italy was a big one for us. We knew that if we were to visit Italy in summer, it was going to be far more expensive than visiting in spring. So what we did was we actually booked our camper van. We did a camper van trip through Italy. I've got a video about that too. I can link that. I've got all the tips and advice on how to camper van through Italy. We did that in February, March. And so for us to hire the camper van for a month during that part of the year was about $2,000 to $3,000. Wish it was $2,000 to $3. $2,000 to $3,000 New Zealand dollars for that time period. For summer, it would have been close to $8,000. So play around with your itinerary and how you're traveling in terms of what country is more expensive at what time of year, and try to travel as cheaply as you can whilst keeping those expensive countries in the off seasons and cheaper countries in the on season, if that makes sense. And then super quick little tips, things like packing a lunchbox in your suitcase, especially the ones that they fold down, so that you can always take a lunch with you when you go out. Like, the last thing you want to do is be out exploring and enjoying yourself, but be really hungry and be tempted to eat out constantly throughout the week. Saves you a lot of money to just have a sandwich in your bag in your little lunchbox. Carry a water bottle. Water is always going to be expensive no matter where you are. We don't need to be spending £2 to £3 on a water bottle when you can just take a water bottle from home, fill it with water, and you're good for the day. Pack canvas bags for your groceries. Grocery bags aren't that expensive, I know, but it'll add up over time, and you just don't want all these plastic bags rummaging around your suitcase. So pack your canvas bags nice and small in your suitcase, and then when you're ready, wham bam, grocery bags. And finally, just accept your budget limitations. If you know that you're on a trip that's a long haul trip, you just have to accept that you're not going to be able to do everything that you want to do. Prioritize correctly on what you think you would regret missing. Alright, that is it from me today. I hope that was somewhat helpful. If you are going on a trip soon, I hope that you have a fantastic time and that you were able to take maybe a tip or two away from this video. And anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. 29 and I find myself wondering what did happen to